What's up, everybody? It's Sunday Funday, and now we're live.
Hey.
I set up like some new code to hopefully show chat on the screen, which will help me read off people's questions. So anyway, we're here today with Kalvin and Mary, and Kalvin and Mary have an interesting idea about. Should we call it the Florida treasure at this point? Like I can't call it the St. Augustine one if you're just gonna go to another city. What do you want me to call it?
I guess we could call it the Florida treasure.
Okay, we'll call it the Florida treasure. So last week we had this idea with a lady named Ashley. She was going to talk about Jockey's Ridge, and she wanted us to sort of poke holes in it, sort of have a little bit of a debate. And then at last minute she had to cancel, and you guys wanted to come on before she canceled anyway and talk about your ideas for the Florida treasure. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Florida, I guess. And then me and Matt are going to poke holes in it.
Wait, before you do that.
Okay.
Before you do that, let me jump in and say, before St. Augustine was put forth, okay, way back in Quest for Treasure and before, okay, the theory was Key West. Now, the verse was the Charleston verse. I don't know what your theory is or what you're using, but there was some great connections with the Southern White House. I'm trying to remember now, but there was a president's house in Key West that fit the bill for, or it could have even been Hemingway's house.
It's probably thinking of Hemingway's house.
But White House, close at hand, fit really well the Key West Charleston verse. And it was a really, really strong contender. I know there were multiple digs in Key West, people looking for it, and it never panned out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just vague recollections of like 10 years, 15 years ago.
I can't remember any other serious considerations for Florida besides, I know there was a little bit for Key West way back in the beginning, and then there was like a push for Silver Springs for a while, Silver Springs in like the Ocala area, but then it jumped to St. Augustine and it just never really went back, especially after
St. Augustine.
Some guy went to the Fountain of Youth and posted all those pictures.
It was the Saloy.
Yeah.
Well, there was Blue
Took it to
Springs
St.
too.
Augustine. Okay, but don't want to jump on your bandwagon there. I
So
just want
Matt-
to throw that out.
So Matt, the verse that actually my mom Mary is the first chapter written in water near men. So that's the verse for Key West that we believe it's at. Now I will tell you.
I keep wanting to call it the St. Augustine verse. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know you.
I'm gonna do it, and I don't mean to, but I'm gonna end up doing it. I'm sorry.
So just to be transparent with everybody, we approached the Historical Society, and it got shot up to the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard, and then we were actually told we were denied to probe and to dig where we believe two exact locations where we believe at the Key West Lighthouse. And I'll let my mom go into more detail on that because she's the one that's been tracing this down for 2 years? Is that right?
No, probably about 4.
Okay,
Probably
4 years.
Since I heard about the book, and it's been a while.
So we believe it's at the Key West Lighthouse. To full transparency here.
Okay.
Google mapping as we speak.
Go
Yeah,
mapping.
I should probably do
Okay.
that.
For Geo. Yeah, Geo.
So
I don't know
for clarity, we're using the verse commonly used for St. Augustine. Are we using the Are we using the St. Augustine painting?
Yes, the Florida painting.
Let me give you my first hole. Let me give you my first. Let me give you my first hole poked into
Yes.
your theory, and I will wait for Miss Mary to get her book.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my book.
Okay,
So we're
so
gonna poke
for
holes.
clarity, we're using the verse most commonly associated with St. Augustine. And just to keep my opinion and everyone's opinion out of it, are we using the painting that John Palancar called the St. Augustine painting?
We're using
Yes,
are.
yes.
Okay.
St. Augustine.
So I guess let's take it by the let's go down the list on the verses, and feel
Yeah,
free
yeah.
to-
Take me through. I'm gonna Google the Key West Lighthouse.
All right, wait. Before we go forward, let's just point out John Palancar has said shit that is not. Didn't he say there's no cask in Boston?
Yeah,
Or
but
am I mistaken?
So, like, that should be clarified, right? Like, I just sent the man an email that had no pictures, no information, and I was like, hey, and this was when we weren't really talking that much, and I was like, hey, I'm hearing rumbling. It was legitimately, I'm hearing rumblings online about somebody finding a cask in a baseball field in Boston, and Expedition Unknown is involved. And I was like, I don't want to go public with this if it's completely fake, because I don't want to put my reputation on the line. Do you have a comment? And it was like, his comment was, I don't even think there's a cask in Boston. I don't know. And then I sent him the pictures, and he was like, yep, that's it. That's where it was. Like, it was immediate. It's not like he was, I don't think he was trying to lie, because like I don't think he knew that would get out to the community. I think he was just trying to be like, I don't want to be involved, especially because I really don't know you that well. And you know what I mean? I mean, before that,
I
I
also
worked.
think he's not above playing with all the people.
Yeah, I don't think he's above that.
So anyway, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so did you guys Google the images of the Key West Lighthouse?
Key West Lighthouse on Whitehead and Truman Avenue.
I believe so. Is
Yeah.
that right, Mom? Okay.
Yes.
It's in the middle of downtown Key West,
Yeah.
not
Yes.
out on the beach.
It's the
Yeah.
second. It's so the original Key West Lighthouse burnt down, right? What year
Yes.
was that? What year?
I don't have the years right off on top of my head. We went down there for a trip, and we had all this information, and I didn't pull it out. I'm sorry.
So
There were several, but the first main the first main lighthouse was, it kind of was crumbling, and it got a fire, and then so they moved everything from that point to where it is now.
Uh-huh.
They built a new lighthouse, or was there a lighthouse already there?
It was in 1800 something that this
Okay.
Okay.
they took
all right.
what they could from that lighthouse, put it on there, and built, from there.
All right, so pre-1980s, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had lighthouse keepers that actually lived on the property. We have literature on that, and forgive my clocks; they will go. I'm sorry, because it's hourly.
That is perfectly fine.
But they did have lighthouse keepers that it was amazing. The lighthouse has a museum. It was truly really nice, very knowledgeable. But like I said, it was, I think it was somewhere around 1898, somewhere through there, is when, somewhere through there when the lighthouse was done.
Yeah.
That lighthouse.
Lots of history there, and lots of things have changed too, as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have the first chapter.
Okay. Written in water. I thought everybody was right. I still think it's Hemingway's house. He did so many books. And that was the first actually to come into my mind. And as far as Key West, I actually thought that the flag that the Spanish,
On the picture.
the picture on the horse, and that if you look at the flag he has, actually is kind of blue in some areas, and it kind of puts you in the mind of Key West, the islands, and the real long blue is I would say that, what is it, the 7 Mile Bridge? I think that's what they call it.
Let's back up a little bit, because
Yes.
we just spewed past some stuff, which is I got questions. So we said written in water was Hemingway. Why? Can we say why? I'm curious why.
Okay, well, my opinion, strictly my opinion now.
Yeah.
If he is an author, he went down there, his house, presidents, everybody came there, and he did a lot. He wrote most of his novels down there. Okay, and to me, that just told me, what I thought I was looking for. So I went to Hemingway house.
So the water's on both sides, George, as everybody knows.
Of Key West.
Yeah.
The main thing. But written in water, near men.
All right, hold on. Let's talk about each one before.
Yeah. Let's talk about each one, because, like,
Okay,
you know
who
who else wrote a lot of stuff about water in Key West? Jimmy Buffett. I mean, David Allan Coe. Like, what leads you to Hemingway? You're getting to a very specific thing, right? Like, people who are in St. Augustine say these things lead us to the Fountain of Youth, and they have very specific reasons. Like in the front of the book, it says the Fountain of Youth, and there's word for word matches at the Fountain of Youth. But we're jumping directly from written in water to Hemingway, and I don't understand why. Like, that's a big jump to make, from written in water, which is this obscure phrase, to a very, very specific author and very specific place in Key West. And I don't understand why we're making that leap.
Well, my thought is everything when he did this treasure book, it was all about history. Okay, all about histories, because everything you're going through, you're kind of learning about the history of a certain place, or a certain people, certain places. It to me, it was just all about history.
Right. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't disagree with that history is a big part of this book, but I struggle to understand what history about Chicago, Cleveland, or Boston we learned from those puzzles. Right. It doesn't really follow through that we really learn anything from the puzzles. So, like, I don't disagree with you. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I think history is a big part of this book, and a big part of it's one of the best parts of the
I've
puzzle,
always argued it wasn't part of it. I know people keep trying to bring it in, but you're right. I don't see in the Chicago verse, the Cleveland verse, or the Boston. I mean, Boston. Yeah, okay. There was,
there was
one if I
Paul
leave
Revere.
your place, Steve. Paul Revere. Yeah, there's no question that's in there. Okay. Yeah, maybe Ironsides. People are still arguing it. Okay. But now go to Chicago.
That argument's going to end soon.
Yeah. That
Okay.
is.
So,
That is.
but Cleveland, what's historical in Cleveland? I mean, not that Cleveland doesn't have history, but I mean in the puzzle.
Well, I think when we get into the history, like, there's a misconception. Like, I think when I say, like, history is a big part of this puzzle, it's one of the prizes that I get out of it, just learning about the city. But I don't think it's necessary to solving, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I've learned so much about San Francisco and history of California and all that has led me nowhere in the puzzle, but was sure great to learn.
But we're back to Hemingway. Like, should we just pass on Hemingway? Like, should we just accept
All right,
Hemingway?
now just because I just flipped back to Quest for Treasure, and I was like, what did they end up saying about Quest for Treasure? And you know what? Most of this stuff is gone now, but there are a couple links to Key West and Hemingway, but it's because of verse 6. That's the Charleston verse.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So they were really strong Hemingway connections through the Charleston verse.
Have you guys looked at any of the old stuff on Quest for Treasure?
No.
You should. You should just go in there and like Google
Hemingway.
Key West or Hemingway.
But what if
Hemingway.
Hemingway is attached to a couple of these verses? Is that a possibility?
Sure.
I mean, anything's a possibility. Is it likely?
Lincoln keeps popping up all through these things.
Yeah,
Yes.
but is same with Mark Twain. Is that because Lincoln was everywhere? Like every city. There are cities in Florida that have Lincoln statues or whatever in them.
Yeah.
Lincoln had nothing to do with this place.
Yeah. But by the same token, if you're in Key West, how do you get away from Hemingway? You know,
Yeah.
it would be like expected to be referenced.
Pretty popular down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very popular.
And it is across the street from the Lighthouse.
Yeah, it's
Right there.
catty
Yeah.
corner. Yeah,
Right.
catty.
So the next one is near men. So near men would be there's cars driving by, there's people walking, there's tourists, and we got to remember this is back in what 1981, 80, 82, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Byron is sexist. Women can't drive cars. Near men. Okay. All right. So that line, if we're just saying near men because it's near a public street, that line basically means nothing.
All right. No, but wait.
Okay.
So what did the Japanese clue say? I'm flipping to it right
No,
now.
that's a good point.
About-
an Augustine page. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No,
Do we buy Mary, Calvin? Do you guys buy into the Japanese clues at all?
I have seen it and read some of them, but no, I find it's more. I love history. I love treasure hunting. I just, and yeah, it kind of does give you some clues, but I just like my version. I just like my
Gotcha.
I mean, he says,
I like my version of treasure hunts too, but like we're working on Byron's
he gave
version.
us one Japanese clue for
Near
verse 9, and it's windrose.
Yeah.
Mr. Price told me that you should think about this windrose being related to navigation.
Yes,
as in
thank
navigation
you.
on the sea.
Thank you. That is.
Is
So that would be
there
the next
a
one with Wind Rose.
is
Yes,
there a
that is what it
windrose at the lighthouse?
No, if
well,
you
Wind
okay,
Rose is navigation. Like it's a
Ri-
lighthouse.
yes.
It's navigating the ships to the shore.
But that's not what a windrose is.
no,
Well,
a wind.
it's a little
no.
bit.
No.
It navigates. It navigates the wind for the ships. Back in the day when they didn't have all the electronics and all this other stuff, when you was on a ship and it was huge, you would have to see what directions you needed to go in and on the wind, and they would
Yeah, it's like it
direction.
not calculated. It allowed you to plot direction, speed, and time.
Yes.
That was a very specific tool.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
So
didn't know
here's
about
another-
it until I physically saw one at the Fountain View.
And or it's the diagram underneath the needle of a compass.
yes, and
Thank you.
George,
Well, that's a
I'm gonna
compass rose.
I want to throw a curveball at you.
Okay,
Wind
I like
Rose
curveballs.
Wind Rose is a cocktail in southern Florida too, as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. I like cocktails. All right. So
Drink.
Windrose, we're saying Windrose bait just means the lighthouse.
All right, now, if you brought that up on one of the pages, Facebook pages, whatever, and you said, hey, this might be a clue. A Windrose is a cocktail from Key West. I would say, great. Document for me when it was first served.
I'm gonna document for you what's in it.
And it's also
it's called a compass rose.
Ha!
Okay, it's cognac, elderflower, nice, and some other words that I don't understand.
the research that I found about the Windrose cocktail. It was only in the Keys area in southern Florida too, as well.
Keys. Let's look at Florida Keys.
Well,
Now I'm
by
interested.
that token, he ought to reference key lime pie somewhere in this verse.
Yeah,
It's not that good.
it's also a winery too. Windrose.
What did you just say?
It's not that good. Key West key lime pie is not that good.
You just
I
haven't had
agree.
good
I
key lime
agree.
pie.
It's just not. It's not.
Yeah.
Depends who makes it.
Me and
That's
Mary,
right.
we're on a team now.
That's right.
I'm 100% Hemingway House. No key lime pie. All Windrose
No
cocktails.
key lime pie. No.
All right.
No.
So we've got Windrose. It's either the Lighthouse or a drink. Okay.
Next is behind bending branches. That's pretty common. Like that could be anywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Go
okay,
ahead.
can I tell you behind bending branches?
Yes.
Hemingway's house actually, back then had, they weren't, I don't call them branches. He might have called them branches when he looked at it. They're real tall, like seagrass and stuff at Hemingway house back in the 1980s.
Oh. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But I mean, it would be a crime if I didn't point out that in the cities that are solved, what the verse says is what it means. A fence means a fence. You know, tree
Right.
means a tree. You know.
Well,
There's lots of trees there, and
Yeah.
there's big trees too.
Yeah, that's why like this should stand out. Like behind bending branches it can't just be like, it's grass. There's a tree. It's just any
That's
tree.
not
Like there's
George.
trees
I get
everywhere.
you.
It's got to be something specific.
Now check this. I think the next line is going to tie the trees into this.
Okay.
okay. It says, and the green picket fence.
Fence.
Okay.
Back in the 1980s, and I'm gonna let you talk in a second. There is a green picket fence there, and it's been green ever since the lighthouse has been there. We've confirmed that.
The Lighthouse is
Historical
big.
Society. Yes.
Yeah. And most of them that you're going to find are like if you go to historical sites, there's really, I think I've said it before. There's really only like 3 colors you can paint stuff, and one of them is green. So a lot of your fences.
confirmed that with the. How long was the gentleman? He's been there 30 years? I can't remember. Andy.
Yeah, Mr. Andy's been there 30 years. I talked to him a good long hour, just me and him, right at the lighthouse. We did a family thing and went down. And I talked to him, got information with him. His wife was in the gift shop. She had been there just the same. It's very interesting of the things that they can tell you, and just different things.
So George, that picture that I sent you the picture. You can see the green picket fence. I don't know if you Google it, if you can see the green picket fence.
I mean, you can see the green picket fence at the Lighthouse
Okay.
at Google
Oh
Maps.
yeah, there's no question. There's a green picket
it's green,
fence around that. It is,
and
it's
then
a
the
picket
trees,
fence.
the bending branches are there too.
Yeah, well, they left the fence, some of it's still green, but the brick in front of it is white. And there is bending branches in front of that there too. So, I mean, that's been there forever and ever.
I mean, yes, there is a banyan tree right in front of the lighthouse that is the epitome of bending branches. You know, right behind the green picket fence. Can't argue that.
No.
But George, it's lining up so far.
Yeah, but so far you're also accurately describing the library that's across the street from my house.
Yeah,
and the lighthouse in St. Augustine, and like
every building in St. Augustine has just been described.
like as long as like if we're being so broad with written in water as to just be like Hemingway. We could make it mean whatever we want, and you've legitimately described basically everything in Florida, right? Like, if bending
Definitely
branches is just
everything in Key West.
a tree, okay.
Okay, wait till we get to some of the
Yes.
last four.
Okay.
And I think
We're gonna show you that, or we're gonna tell you this.
and here's a kicker, George. So we're gonna get through this, right? But let's go to the painting for a second. You know the flag?
I do know the flag, the one with the Castile in it. I
Nope.
mean, sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
That
I
you
know
know
the
the
flag.
circle. The
Yeah, I do know
circle?
the circle. Yeah.
We're gonna tie that to this verse instantly when we
Alright.
get there.
Cool.
All right, next. At the base of a tall tree.
Yeah, they already said it. It's right
Yep.
there by the lighthouse. Been there for years. Day one, probably.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't
even know which tree you're talking about. I'm just curious why you
Okay,
picked your
right
specific
now-
tree.
Right next to the lighthouse, there's all kinds of palm trees.
Hmm.
You name, I mean, just all kinds
Different
of.
trees.
Yes, it is all.
Yeah, there's a couple of palm trees. There looks like a couple of oaks.
There's a
They're like-
banyan.
Is it
Yeah,
banyan?
thank you. I try to remember the. Thank you.
Hmm.
I'm not
Thank
an
you.
arborist. Which one's the banyan tree?
The one with all the vines that go down into the ground.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
have
okay.
bending branches.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that's cool. All right. I was talking about the oak. I think it's an oak on the other side.
Oak isn't even in the picture.
No, maybe I don't know. Okay. Look like a live oak. No biggie. All right. So which tree are we picking?
Okay, the banyan tree.
The banyan tree.
And
It is tall and it is a tree.
I
And it
think
has
there's
bending branches.
And
Bending branches, that's right.
branches do bend. Yeah.
and I think there's like 3 there now because I got pictures because I just in December we went. So I think there's 3 there now. I got pictures of that. So
I gotta go to Key West. Let's all just go to Key West, guys.
The problem is we can't get permission.
Who cares about
Go to
digging?
Key
You know
West?
what they got in Key West? They got rum.
Yes.
Let's go to Key West.
which was very good.
Yeah, it's nice down there. And they have key lime pie.
No. No.
Mary, you and I, we will go get the rum, and these two can go have all the key lime pie they want.
Oh,
That's awesome. You can still hear the honking. The honking is the cars around. It kind of goes back to Near Men, where the cars are driving around. People are, tourists and residents and all that. So the honking's coming from the cars.
All right. Now let me just say something.
Yes.
Okay. So, as in the other verses, okay, Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, okay, every line of the verse narrows it down a little farther, and we're zooming in on a 1 foot square
Yes,
spot.
we are.
Okay. But you keep drawing me back to generalities. All right. So the honking. Okay. Well, the honking, there are cars all over Key West.
Yeah.
How does that narrow it down?
well, because first they put you at the green picket fence, so you're actually on the property.
There's
If you go,
it's on 2 roads.
yes,
Okay, the green
it's
picket
actually on
fence
the
goes
corner.
all the way around it.
It's on the corner.
What does, we're on the road. What does honking do for me besides tell me to look down at the road?
That's a good question. I don't know. You don't really look down at the road. You look at because the fence is see-through. I mean,
Right. But the clue now is there's honking. Right?
Well-
What is the actual line, George?
You can still hear the honking.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about? That the line?
Yes,
you're
I
talking
am.
about? Yeah. Okay.
So are we getting away from the honking so that we can still hear it?
Yeah.
Are we, what is it about the honking that lets us think we can still hear it? I mean, he makes a point saying you could still hear it. That's surprising.
Well,
But if I'm
my
on the
thought-
road,
my thought is if you're going to the spot that you need to be at, which you'll see what spot it is. If you're going to the spot that you need to be at, which is on that property, you could still hear it because you're not going to be looking at the road. You're going to be looking at the spot you need to.
You're going to be on the other side of the fence now. You're going to be
okay,
on the
but
grass.
I mean,
But
even looking at it, that's 20 feet, right? The
Somewhere
tree-
through there.
If we're talking the banyan tree from the street, you're talking like 20 feet. It's right.
It's not that far.
Fence,
Yeah, it's
banyan
no,
tree,
it's not.
lighthouse.
Unless you're like on the other side of the tree. But then like we're taking a lot of steps here that we aren't given instruction to take at all, right? If you look at, I keep going back to the 3 that were solved. We can say that there are some lines that might not mean anything because we don't fully understand them, right? Like brush music, hush. We got a kind of an idea of how that works, but we don't really know. Or what's the Boston one? Not feel
Take
it.
5 steps.
No. The very last line. In truth, be free. You know, we don't necessarily understand what that means. We don't necessarily understand beneath 2 countries in Cleveland, right? But the rest of the lines, when we understand them, there aren't words there that don't mean anything, right? All of the words in the lines that we understand mean something specific. So when you take, you can still hear the honking, like each of those should mean something. Or near men with wind, each of those words should mean something. We can't just pick out the word men and be like, because there are guys on the road. And we can't just pick out the word honking and say that's cars. Like the other words should mean something too. They should pull this clue together and give you, like, the tricky thing about this is, the tricky thing about The Secret is Byron's giving you a lot of information in a very short little snippet, right? But here we're just like picking out a word and being like, this is men as guys in cars. We have to know why. We have to know why it's that. We have to know why you're standing at this banyan tree.
And
you know what I mean?
And it has to be advancing you. At this point in the
Exactly.
verse, a throwaway line didn't happen. Everything in Chicago moved you forward until hell hush.
Wow.
We have no idea why hush is.
Yeah, hush.
Okay. Well, there is. I had another thing on this honking thing.
Okay.
They had. It was like a. I don't know if you'd call it a horn. They would blow it also too, to let Key West knew, or the people that live there, if the ships actually was in trouble. There was he
Like an
said
air horn.
Mr. Andy said he never known of them ever to use it. And it's right there like on a pole.
Like an air raid, air horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something
It
in
would
that
make a
area.
great
like
sounds from
that.
the sky.
Does the lighthouse have a foghorn?
It probably
Well,
does.
I mean,
And he
how much
said-
fog is in Key West? I mean,
No, he
From
didn't call it a
the
foghorn.
ocean, a decent
Yeah.
at night, a decent amount.
yeah. Really?
But he
Okay,
didn't
well, then it's
call
going to
it-
have a foghorn. And it would be.
I mean, it's
so
not like
that
San
could-
Francisco, but it
Okay.
happens.
Well, if there's a lighthouse, there's a foghorn. So I can see that kind of guiding you to the lighthouse.
Well, he said they never used it, so I didn't even think twice about it. But you're probably right. That's probably what that is. That was that. And if I was to walk to that, I would be in the right direction where I needed to go, or where I thought I needed to go, anyways.
Next to the lighthouse. Ish.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Going
No,
that
it's
way.
It's
about-
really small. The lighthouse and the property there is really, really small.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like
Yes.
20 feet from the road.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not very big.
Okay.
On-
All right. So you can still hear the honking. What's next?
Shell, limestone, silver, and salt.
Oh, this is gonna be
That's
tricky.
Florida.
Not except for silver. Except we ain't got no silver. Precious metals, we have none. So I'm curious about this one.
Okay. I don't know if I want to give that one away because
Your phone, your audio is messing up a little bit.
Okay, I have picture. Can you hear me?
Kind of.
Your audio went crazy.
Yeah.
My audio.
There, you're back.
You're better.
Okay. This one here kind of gives it away a little bit of my life. Is there any way we can skip this one and I can?
Well, so I to remind you, you can't dig this anyway. So why not talk about it?
Okay, you're right. Okay, what we did find, shells, the limestone, the silver. Silver, where I thought he was talking about is, again, you're in Florida. Whenever you crush or the sand comes in from the ocean and you actually put it in your hands and you have little pieces of shells and
Yeah.
it glitters and it's
It looks like
limestone
silver.
and shells and there's salt.
Uh-huh.
Well, we found all of that.
So
Okay.
what
There
you're saying
are
is it
800
looks
and-
like silver.
there are 825 miles of coastline in Florida that describes. If we're just going like it's sand.
No, but it's okay. Well, should I tell you exactly where I seen it?
On
I
the-
mean, it actually
I don't-
goes with the last.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, because we can't. Nobody can probe there. Nobody can dig this thing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where I think this is, and he actually let me open the cister. It's in a. Do you know what a cister is? A system.
Listen,
George,
it's
it's in that. George, you know the picture that I sent you with my daughter sitting on
Yeah.
it?
It's the
It's
toilet,
round.
right?
No,
Sister?
No.
Oh, okay.
Cistern's a water storage.
Well,
a
so
water
it's a
storage.
toilet now.
No.
When I get there. Okay, yeah, okay, water storage. I'm sorry, I got in my head because like everybody that goes, there's a lot of people that take this verse and this painting and they associate it with the lighthouse in St. Augustine, right? And they use a lot of the same, if I'm being honest, almost except for the Hemingway thing, almost exactly what you guys are saying for Key West is what they use for this, for the St. Augustine lighthouse. And they're all like into the old, it's privy. They're into the old privy. Everybody wants to dig up the old privy. So that's where my mind went. Sorry.
So George, look at that picture that I sent you. My daughter's sitting on top of it, and
Okay.
the cover. So it when it rains, it collects the rain.
That was
Yeah.
back in the day. They
Back in,
actually got-
yes, fresh
Yeah.
water. So when they were down there, they were allowed to remove the top of this.
Mr.
working with
Andy
this-
let me.
the Historical Society.
Nice.
And inside there, shells, limestone, salt, and it looks like silver, but it's not. It's the way that it looks.
It
Right.
Inside of
glistened.
it.
The
But
mica.
it's-
Yes.
It's sand. Yeah, it's mica.
Mica.
It's sand.
Yeah.
We got a
All
lot
right,
of that here.
I'll throw you one. Okay, so Hemingway House right across the street, right? Okay, Hemingway was awarded the Silver Medal of Valor by France when he fought in France during the war.
Wow, I did not know
We didn't
that.
Yeah, so
I like you. You do. You got history. I love history.
Mary's like,
Still in
screw
St.
you, George.
Augustine.
I like Matt. There's only
So
one
there's
thing I know about
actually-
Hemingway. He wrote my favorite short story. That like, what is it? The saddest 6-word sentence. This for sale baby shoes never worn, something like that.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I really know about Hemingway. Sorry.
He also has the world
Collective.
record for the shortest communication, where his book was published. So he sent a telegram to his agent ? And the agent replied back !
Nice.
The shortest telegram communication. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Nice, very nice. So this collected water back in the day,
Right.
you know, for usage and all that stuff. And I believe there's 2 of them on site. Is that right? One's over by
Yeah,
the other side.
the first one was built when the lighthouse so they covered it and they decided not to use it. So they actually built a second one, and it's actually still used today. It still collects the rainwater, and I think they kind of use it for like the grass and what have you there. But
So-
it was very interesting.
You're getting a lot of comments. There are none that are bashing you, not at all. Everybody's being very polite. There is one person's asking why not the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse, the hidden treasure rum bar and grill is 50 feet away. Like, I think people are picking up on, and maybe you are too, that we're getting kind of vague, and we can fit these lines to a lot of places. So I think I'm looking for is, why are we here? Like, what is?
It almost seems like you picked the lighthouse and then tried to shoehorn the solution into it rather than.
But it all matches. The verse
Let
matches.
me
the
ask you
lighthouse.
this: how did you discover the lighthouse?
I did.
Okay, how did you do that?
Okay, how did I discover?
Mhm.
I went from verse to verse, and I kept telling everybody, all the grandkids and stuff, it's done in Key West. It's done in Key West.
Why did you think that, though? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Because actually, Hemingway, I thought about Hemingway, and then I started thinking about each verse of what it could be and where it would lead me.
Mhm.
So, that's how I ended up at the lighthouse.
So there's nothing in the verse or the image. Like, this is what I'm getting. So I don't know if this is true. So it's a question. There's nothing in the verse or the image that took you here. You were just like, there has to be one in Key West, and you got a feeling about Hemingway, so you started looking
Around
Yeah.
him.
around the Hemingway
Well,
house.
Okay, anybody thinks about Key West, they think about boats. Okay, again, stars move by day, sails by night. Okay, even in darkness. Okay, I just thought, okay, I just started trying to put clues together what he was saying, and and thought, well, okay, he probably went down there, or this is my thought, this is my theory, this is just what I think.
Right.
Okay, so it whether it's right or it's wrong, I guess I'll never know, because
You can't say that. And it's not for us to say. Like, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's not for us to say. We're just talking.
That's
We'll never
yeah.
know. We'll never know until someone.
Now
finds
wait. Because all right,
I know.
that's something I disagree with entirely. Because okay, first of all, the technology for looking into the ground changes yearly. Okay, constantly. The metal detectors they had in 1982 compared to the metal detectors they have now. The ground penetrating radar didn't, well, it did. They were using, when I lived in Egypt, they were using it to probe for oil out in the desert, but it was 2 giant semi trucks to carry 1 ground penetrating radar unit.
You lived
Right?
in Egypt?
Yeah.
Did you lead your
Yeah.
people out?
I did. No. I was a kid. I had no idea how cool it was, other than we were climbing up the pyramids when we shouldn't have been, and riding camels in the desert. It was a blast. Didn't know enough to know it was cool. All right. So, but they did have ground penetrating radar back then, but it was the size of 2 semis.
Yeah.
And now it's the size of a baby carriage. 20 years from now, it'll be a phone app. These things,
I mean, it's
if
already
they
a phone.
still exist, if they haven't been destroyed, here and there.
Oak Island. Oak Island uses that all the time. Has been. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. These things will be found if they still exist at some point.
Well, getting permission to even do that, I don't even know they would even go that way.
Yeah, but if it's not there, if it's at Fountain of Youth, okay, and they find it at Fountain of Youth, then it's not in Key West.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or if they find it in Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, so they wherever it is, they're going to get found if they still exist at some point.
Listen, it's the hunt, it's the having fun, it's the family time, it's your theory. You know what? Sometimes there is no reward except for the family time, the time you had. I just love it all.
Yeah.
No matter. I love it all.
Meeting new people, arguing about this and that. It's a blast.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this. Did you ever look at a different verse? Because like I said, the Charleston verse was the favorite with Key West. Because so I was looking, it's like White House close at hand, and then just down the street from the it's on what street is it on? It's on Temple Street. There's the where is it? It's it was Truman's Winter White House is right down, as a match for a verse, White House close at hand. You can't argue with that one because it's labeled the White House. So, did you think about using a different verse?
I didn't. I just stuck with that one. I don't know why I did. I just did. Like I said,
the reason I'm saying that is because when they were looking at it before, okay, nobody knew which verses went with which picture at all. It was all a crapshoot. So the Charleston verse had more quote Key West matches than the St. Augustine verse, which wasn't the St. Augustine verse at the time. So,
But I mean, swapping them around like that, you end up with more problems than you know.
Oh, I agree. We got the verses down and we got the cities down. But I'm just saying that's why they chose that verse. They had better matches. And there was a Hemingway connection in that verse.
Yeah.
I forget what it is now. But I mean, the one that stands out to me was the White House. There was an actual path that went from Hemingway's house to the White House, and I think it took you to the beach near the White House.
So did we get to like Moonlight and Teardrops? What were we thinking?
George, before we go there, remember that flag, the flag?
The one with the Castile
circle?
in it.
The one with the castle. Yeah.
Sorry, yes, I remember.
It's shaped like the river next to St. Augustine. That flag.
That circle in the flag is what is that called? That's the
cistern.
The cistern in the ground. That's what that is.
Okay.
That's what we think it is.
No, I can't see the. Oh wait, you can see the cistern. Is
the
that
cistern? It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge and round. It's got like a wood. Yeah.
That's the circle in the flag.
Just curious, what is the lid of that made of? Is it
wood.
Cement or is it?
No, it's wood.
No, it's wood.
They sent me a really nice picture of Calvin's daughter sitting on top of it. I just can't share it. Honestly, I didn't. I probably could have if I had pulled everything, but I didn't. But I'll post it. I'll post it online. Oh, it's Calvin's daughter, as long as he's okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, here's Calvin's daughter, everybody.
No, she's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the circle in the flag.
Does it have a hole in the middle of it?
Yeah, it's basically like a well, a big well that collects water it's got this seashells at the bottom of it. They just built this wooden thing so people wouldn't fall in there and try and go in there, and because it's not used anymore. But when George shares that picture, you'll have a better, image of what it looks like.
Okay. So did we get to Moonlight and Teardrops?
Okay, the Moonlight and Teardrops, like Moonlight and Teardrops. Okay, when you get rain, and the moonlight, kind of is on the rain, and it glistens. When you look at the water, the water glistens, and it's like teardrops whenever it's on
Like a reflection.
something that's going down or whatever. I'm sure they know. Everybody should know what
Rain looks like, yeah.
So
Yeah,
California, we do not have rain. So
Rain kind of like reflects it, kind of like it just makes it more. I don't know.
So
It enhances it.
just to summarize here, we've got first chapter because it's the first. Was it? Did you say it was the first lighthouse in Florida? Second. Okay, so
first
that doesn't work. Written in water because it's near the water, near men, which are cars, with windrows, which is compass, not a wind. Behind bending branches, which is a tree, and a green picket fence, which is a green picket fence. You can still hear the
Bending
honking
branches.
because of the cars we were talking about before. Shell, limestone, silver, and salt, which is sand. Stars move by day, sails pass by night. Lighthouse, even in darkness. Like Moonlight and Teardrops is rain. We're still describing my library across the street. We could still be anywhere.
yeah,
But,
how is it narrowing down to a spot?
Yeah. I mean, we've only got
you've got some landmarks. You've got a picture of the cistern. Okay, great.
we got two lines to go, and then we're done with verse.
So I'm dying to know. Does it have a happy ending?
Is there like an
Go back-
acrostic
go
where
back to
Byron's like
Shell.
go to Key West in this?
To go back to shell, limestone, silver, and salt. Stars move by day, salts pass by night. The most
Okay,
important
let's-
line is like moonlight and teardrops. So when this was open, when there was no wooden cover protection on this, the moonlight is shining inside of this. I forgot what it's called. This huge
Cistern.
cistern. It's
Call it a
glistening.
well.
Yeah,
just call it well.
it's making the seashells and all that stuff, like when it rains, glisten with the moonlight. So when you say where are we pinpointing this, we're getting really close to where it is,
Okay.
just by those couple of lines.
So you're saying it's in the cistern.
No, it's not in it. It's around it.
All right.
Why?
Around it
Go ahead.
is not a spot.
No. I first thought it was around it, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the deal. I talked to Andy. Andy said there was once upon a time tall green grass around the cistern.
Okay.
And it says years past rainfall. Right inside of that, I think, and you can see actually, you really can't. I thought I could see edge of something because even though it's covered, rain still gets in it. If it rains or something, it still gets in it. But I could not. We were only allowed to look at it with him there, but I don't know. We couldn't do anything else. But it is in there. That's where I believe it was.
In the
and
cistern.
In the cistern.
Yes.
That thing's big. Where in the cistern?
No, it looks big, but it's if I was to guess really how big it is, I would say probably 6 feet total wide
That's big.
You know,
How deep?
well, shoot, my husband's I would say I actually could, where my granddaughter is, I would say 3 feet, maybe.
3 feet is how much it sticks out of the ground. From what I'm
Yes,
looking.
but you can.
No, it's
I
not
can-
that much. Maybe 2.
Yeah,
All right,
I
well, so you're saying the hole inside of it. So if I was standing, if the wood lid was off, and I was
Yes.
standing on the lip, and I didn't care about getting my feet wet, I could jump in it.
well, you'd fall on your face because it's not that deep.
Let me describe this to you, Matt. So I'm looking at 15, 16-year-old girl, maybe. I'm not sure. Of average height,
Yes.
Yeah.
sitting on this cistern. And if she were to lay across it, there would be room on either side. She would not overhang. And you could probably stack 4 other of her beside her with
Well, I don't care how wide it is. I care
What?
how deep the hole is.
Oh, I don't know how deep the hole is, but the cistern's probably like 8 foot in diameter. The one that's
Diameter's
long.
around.
Okay,
How
circumference.
deep is it?
It is not. Look at my granddaughter's feet. They're on the ground.
Right, but
Look
he's
at her
talking
feet.
about how deep is it on the inside.
About 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet.
Okay, so it's not
very
Okay.
deep at
ground
all.
level. Okay, all right,
Okay.
It's not very deep at all.
Okay.
all right. Cool.
You really need to go. I mean, well, I don't even know if you'd have picture. They would have share the picture. I have another picture of it too. I will send it to
All
you.
right, so let me
Let's
ask
do that.
you this. Okay, if the picture on the flag is the cistern with the cover on, you're suggesting
Yes.
he went and pulled the cover off, jumped in the cistern.
There was
You
not a
wouldn't
cover
have
on it.
So I just jumped in.
Yeah. It
There's
was
no
still.
If there was no
Like-
cover on the cistern, how is there a picture of the lid of the cistern with a hole in it
The circle.
on the flag?
I mean, that's
I don't know. I don't know if that is a hole that's in the middle of that.
That's two
I
different.
really-
You know, I'm saying the hole in the center of the flag, which is
a square, by the way.
Square.
Yeah.
it's not a circle,
Yeah.
so it's definitely a thing. You know, is does it really look like the cistern? Why is there a square hole in it? Was there a square hole in the lid of the cistern?
I mean, it's
I
wood.
think
I'll give
it's
him that.
fair.
It's wood, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
All right.
I still
so
don't
if
understand
the-
why we're at the
If
cistern.
if the flag is a picture of the cistern's lid, is that telling us to pull the lid off?
We would have to now, but
Back then in the
If the
80s,
flag is a picture
there was
of
not
the
a
lid,
lid.
there was a lid
was not a
back.
lid. It was just the cistern
I
collecting
think it
water.
was just
Yeah.
the sister. Yeah, but it's
But
not.
then does it actually
Oh,
look
thank
like
you.
the cistern
So nice.
anymore?
I think
I know
so.
it's
That's just
round.
my opinion.
Okay.
all right.
That's what it was, and it
Cool.
still.
Okay,
looks
so there was no lid, so you just go to this fountain, jump in the fountain, dig down in the bottom of the fountain. What, over on the side where the lighthouse is?
Well, it's in there. I
Where
think
in the
it's-
dig up the whole thing?
Well,
No,
given
I
Chicago, man, I can understand dig up the whole thing, right? Like, think about Chicago, think about Cleveland. Dig up the whole thing is not out of the realm of possibility here.
I actually.
There's no
Well, I
like
actually
go
think-
10 steps, go 3 steps. There's none of that.
I'll give her this. I'll give her this. I'll give you this, Mary. I'll give you a dig spot based on your ideas. If that little circular thing in the flag is the cistern and it's got a square right in the middle of it, there's your cask right in the middle of the
There's your
cistern,
spot.
There's your
Square
spot.
cast right in the center.
right in the center.
And the
Right in the
square represents the cask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
There you go. That answers my question.
I still don't understand how we got to this lighthouse, but I had fun. Can I?
Listen,
Yeah.
as long as you had fun, that's all that matters.
Did you? I mean, it looked like you guys had fun. You took your granddaughter out.
Oh.
Like,
Man, let me tell you, we took the trip. We try to go down towards, Christmas time. Break, all the kids are out. They took a friend. We went, we took the charter out. We fished. We're outdoors people. We love it.
Yeah.
And we camped. It was beautiful. I said, okay, guys, give me this one day. And they all said, and we're talking about 21-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 16-year-olds. We had a 18-year-old. We're talking about these kids that could have been doing anything else, but they really got involved in this. We had it was a family time, a beautiful time, and I would do it all again.
Nice.
Sure. Show me an 18-year-old who doesn't want to go on a treasure hunt. Yeah. Yeah.
I got it. Destiny's in there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You win.
You know what? Like, I think, in all honesty, have you ever? I know you think it's in Key West. I know you do, and I know you have really good reasons for the Lighthouse. But have you ever looked at the Lighthouse in St. Augustine? Because a lot of the stuff that you are attributing to the Lighthouse in Key West, you could attribute to the Lighthouse in St. Augustine, and there's more.
Hemingway lives across the street.
Well, you would have to get rid of the Hemingway. Like, there's no the first chapter, like Written in Water. That, if I'm being honest, that doesn't make sense for Hemingway, but it does if you're talking about, like, the first chapter, Written in Water, is St. Augustine, right? It's the first chapter of America's history. It was written in the sea, like it
was written on the sign.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm trying to get around that.
Okay.
But if you can take Ponce, like, you could take all of your stuff for the Lighthouse and attribute it to the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and still, even up to your cistern, because you could end up at the Privy like the other guys for basically the same reasons that you ended up at the cistern. I mean, you could
pie while you're doing it.
Well, we got tacos. They're good. But you could use your Saloy. You could use things like shell, limestone, silver, salt. I mean, the Lighthouse is on the salt run, for God's sakes. There's, your shell everywhere, your limestone everywhere. Like, you could attribute just about everything that you said, plus a lot more, to the St. Augustine Lighthouse. So, and then you can make another trip to Florida.
I don't know I don't know the history of the Native Americans in Florida. Saloy, which it's not good history anywhere. Okay, but Saloy, to me, seems really tied to
the Fountain of Youth. Well, to the Fountain of Youth specifically. Saloy is a very, very tiny village. Like, because we're in the secret, we attribute a lot to Saloy, but Saloy's not really that big of a deal in the history of the Timucuan Indians, which are the Indians around here. It's a very, very small place.
Mary Kalvin, are you disregarding that as a clue? That's a coincidence of letters together? Or is there something in Key West that
it's a good question.
Is Saloy, or is, I don't know what the Indian tribes done their work, but
I don't either. It's not the Timucuans.
Are you disregarding that as a clue?
No, I talked to Kalvin, and I both talked to the lady. I can't remember her name.
She's a curator. She's the head historic in there.
Okay. Well, I asked her about the Indians and when they actually, because Indians were actually there back in the 1700s. And I asked her, I says, well, do you have any literature or anything, about them and who were they? And she said they all kind of moved up towards, they all got pushed away like Indians, they just pushed them and did them wrong and took their land and everything else and so forth.
So is it possible the Saloy tribe started in Key West and there's documents
No.
out?
So the main tribe in Florida, land wise, right? Like not necessarily numbers wise, but land wise, was the Timucua, and they controlled basically from North Florida to, I don't know, most of North Florida to like mid South Florida, right? They controlled a lot of land. And then there were like 4 other Indian tribes that were down in South Florida. Something that will help Mary kind of is the Calusa were really, really close to Key West, and they're mentioned in the front of the book, though the Timucuan are also mentioned in the front of the book. So
I think that might
but
have
the
been.
Saloy was legitimately like a village, not a tribe, not a group. It was a village, and it existed at the Fountain of Youth, and that's it.
So are we saying then it's not a clue? It's a coincidence in the verse? Or we just don't know?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
That's, I mean, I don't know is a valid answer. You know,
Yeah, no,
there's
it is.
lots of stuff
You know.
I don't know.
Yeah. To me personally, when somebody comes up with an alternative to St. Augustine, the Fountain of Youth, that's my question is, so how are we disregarding Saloy, which is fair? I mean, letters have fallen together to spell out weirder coincidences,
Cabot.
but so
Well, and so
Well-
like if you're in St. Augustine at all, you can explain that away as obviously Byron went to the Fountain of Youth because of the word cask, right? Like that's the only other place in America that word is used as a container. So obviously he went there at some point, and he would have learned about the Saloy Indians and the history of the Saloy Indians at the Fountain of Youth. If you don't already know it, is kind of confusing. So I could see him thinking that was sort of the tribe that was in St. Augustine, and it would apply to St. Augustine as a whole instead of just that one little area. But once you get out of St. Augustine, that word means nothing.
In Tacoma Park, not too far from St. Augustine, I don't know if you've ever been there. We've went there camping, Tacoma Park right there. It is, I mean, it's got statues of, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember the tribe that, and they were actually a village right there.
The Creeks
Pull
and
it
the
up.
Seminole Indians were
No,
in Key
this
West.
is Tacoma. This
No, no.
is at the Tacoma Park.
Creeks
I
and
understand,
Seminoles.
but the Creeks and Seminoles, otherwise known, they became the Seminoles in 1770. Were in Key West. Creeks.
Yeah, that was.
So it's a combo
okay.
down.
So now let me ask you something about the paintings. All right. So, and this is kind of a pet theory of mine.
This is a good one.
Okay.
Okay.
So in Chicago, there's the water tower, and then
Yes.
there's the guy with the bow and arrow. Okay. You can go from the water tower to the bow and arrow, and you end up where near where the cask is, or where the verse starts. Okay. In Cleveland, there's the Cleveland Transit Tower. Okay. And then there's, as far as I'm saying, Triangle Square, which is a weird name, but was a place in Cleveland that is right at where you turn to go into Rockefeller Park. Okay. I know there's one for Boston. I know it was like a Boston Pops.
Boston
couple-
Globe.
The Globe, thank you. The Globe. And the Globe, and then there's, whatever's the one that's, the home base, which tells you baseball field. So, to the baseball field. All right, so that's just, it's a theory. It isn't necessarily what in the Florida image says, and I'll say this about the Florida image and St. Augustine, is there's a picture of the Castillo in there, and there's a picture of arguably Ponce de Leon. And there are Ponce de Leon statues in St. Augustine, and there's a Castillo in St. Augustine. What landmarks are in the picture, and this is just, you can say this totally is not a thing, but does you start at, you end up at near the, all right, and I can give you the end one. You're telling me the cistern is in the image. Great. There's where you end. Where would you start? What big picture in the image says Key West?
Okay. Down here at the bottom of the picture, you have, which looks to me like an island, which actually
Rock?
Everybody says the rock, but if you look at it closely, it actually isn't really a rock, because the tree is actually right next to it. Is it growing in the water, the tree, or is it growing? Anyway, the rock is, if you want to call it a rock, I just looked at it and said, wow, that actually looks like maybe it might have been an island surrounded in water. So that actually kind of brought me, and then I started looking, started looking at it, and I said, well, I don't know if this is a turtle or, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can see in this picture.
So the
Right,
flowers.
but like Chicago has the Chicago Water Tower. Cleveland has the Cleveland Transit Building. Not another building, not a generic building. The Cleveland Transit Tower.
Milwaukee's got City
Okay.
Hall. Charleston's got Fort Sumter. There's.
So is there something of Key West? And I don't know. I've been to Key West once when I was in high school. Okay, or actually graduated, so I was out of high school. But is there something in that image that inarguably says landmark in Key West? I mean, yeah, I can say it's Key West is an island. So are all the other keys.
Okay, well, I just looked at it and I said, well, I looked at that. I looked at the flag, and the flag looked kind of like the keys. And then there's the horse.
You're forgetting the
horse-
flowers. The flowers that are in the picture. The flowers are there on site at the lighthouse. The
At the
same
lighthouse.
flowers.
But
Asters.
I didn't know
Flowers that spell St. Augustine. No, I'm kidding. All right, yeah.
No, I'm not.
We're here to
okay.
shoot this down, right? Okay. I'm not being mean.
The flowers say St. Augustine. I didn't see that.
It's an old thing. It's fine.
Okay. But look, they have flowers that look like that, but that's not what it was. I'm just telling you my thought.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's
No, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
No,
cool.
And if you kind of, like I said, if you look at the flag, it in the blue looks like water, the little yellow looks like the land, then the horse.
Like the islands, like the yellow dots in the flag are the islands of the keys.
Yeah, that's
and
what
the
I
blue is the
thought.
water, and that's the road or bridge, if you want to call it, connecting them together in the flag.
Why? Why
Well,
can't
look
the
at it.
yellow be Bridget? I'm legitimately looking at it. I'm
I
legitimately
don't
looking
know
at
this.
Well, no, I mean,
Look.
okay, no. That the flag represented 7 Mile Bridge has been put out there before.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Look, I'm
This is
just
before
saying,
my time.
all this stuff has been put out there before. Not necessarily the cistern at the lighthouse, but seriously, people were heavy into Key West as a location.
Yeah.
So that's why I know about. It was never my location. I would read these other people's, locations and go, oh yeah, hey, that makes sense. So Hemingway was talked about ad nauseum. So I'm sure the lighthouse was also. I don't remember it, but bars down mentioned, as landmarks also, so.
There's 2 Facebook comments I should probably address. One, because it's been asked a couple of times, and I think Roberta really wants me to answer it. She asked what the status of probing is at the Fountain of Youth. I don't think there's going to be any more of it.
No.
I gotta talk to John, but I don't think he's gonna let any. It's been too much of a hassle. Like he tried to be really nice, and it became a big, huge hassle. And that's just the feeling I get. I haven't talked to him, but I think I will. I think I'll call him this week and find out. Also, Joseph McGarity said we should start at the finish line because that might make it easier, and I'm pretty sure that's what we did here. I mean, pretty sure that's what we did. And that's okay. That's all right. Jason Krupat started at the finish line. He got cast.
Yep.
Well, this is the deal. Everybody's got their thoughts, their theories, what it could be, where it is. I just hope at any time, sometime soon, that this will be found.
Yeah.
If it's down in Key West, I'd love it. If it's at St. Augustine, that's good. It's just that someone needs to find it here in Florida. Because it is important.
If you are really sure it's there in the cistern, okay?
Yes.
You're going at getting permission the wrong way. So
They went. They're
going
just
the
at
Coast
it
Guard.
the
That
wrong
property
way.
is protected under the Coast Guard.
You're going at it the
Historical
wrong
I'd like to hear-
Society, too.
Okay, Matt.
Yes.
How
Okay.
are we going about it? Let's go.
the wrong way. All right, so you cannot. It's great. It's protected by the Coast Guard. However, there is going to be a Key West Lighthouse Preservation Society. Okay.
We already did.
We did. We went
They
through that.
will. Okay. Great.
Yeah, I talked to them.
They will have volunteer programs. You go volunteer for 2 weeks. Go take your vacation in Key West.
For 2 weeks.
How you do it?
So you can dig up
You
the
go
cistern.
volunteer for Key West. You sit there and you talk about it all the time. You're digging and planting and trimming flowers and painting fences and all that. By the time you get done, if they don't let you do it, the head's groundkeeper is going to go grab a shovel and go over and stick it in the ground.
I wish that was true,
Again,
Matt.
if they find it, it's theirs.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They dig it up. That's fine.
Look, can I
Let
say
me-
something, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I told my son and I told all my grandchildren, if I find this, it needs to be given to the museum. Right
And-
off the bat. I've already said that right off the Look, I've got my wealth. I have my health. I get up every day. I got my grandchildren. I'm able to do this, do that. Look, it's not, I love doing stuff like this. That's not the thing. If it's down there, which I really do believe in my heart it is, I wish we could find it. And I already told Kalvin, I said, look, knowing that I found it is good enough for me. It
So,
needs to go there.
Yeah, Matt and
It
George.
does.
So our communication with the head curator and the Coast Guard was, if it really is there, and we were allowed to dig it up or probe it, that it would stay there with, the lighthouse on display.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We
There's no
threw
question
that out there to
that's
them
exactly right.
100%. Yes.
But they will not. They just guaranteed they will not let you dig it as a private citizen.
Well,
However,
I can.
as a member of the ground crew who's doing maintenance work on the thing.
Yeah, but
if
why are
your
they doing
job
maintenance
is-
work when they're removing the wooden lid? That's gonna throw red flags up like instantly.
The number of places where I cannot dig, period, where I've gotten the groundskeepers to dig for me, because everybody loves a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've got to go sit and watch people dig, just to see if it's in that particular spot where I'm not allowed to dig. Okay. There are ways of legally getting somebody who is allowed to dig to do. You know what? There are gardeners and groundskeepers who work on that lighthouse every friggin' day. They dig holes.
Yes.
They fix irrigation pipes. They plant flowers. They trim trees. Okay. They are allowed to do their job. And if their job happens to take them to the middle of the cistern with a shovel someday, hey, you know, then that's how when you get to these kind of things, that's how you've got to approach it. Okay. They're not going to let you dig, but
Oh no.
unless you volunteer. I mean, I've done things where I've planted roses all day and then gone over and dug a hole. You know? So
And where do you live? Do you have look, you know, we are the Treasure Coast. I'm down here. We're the Treasure Coast. Florida is the Treasure Coast of the
I
world.
live in the mother lode of California, which is
Well, you're not the Treasure Coast. Come on up here to Florida. Come back over to Florida. Down to Florida.
I think when Mary's audio goes weird, somebody said in chat she's covering the finger with her mic, or she's covering the mic with her finger.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay, well that means you guys don't need to hear me.
No, we can hear you. It sounds really robotic, and it's fine.
yeah. Every so often.
I keep trying to convince Matt to come to Florida, but he doesn't want to.
that's
Well,
not
you know,
true.
there's nothing wrong with California. You know, there's
There's a lot wrong.
Have you not watched the news lately? We got lots of problems.
Yeah, man, I wish we were allowed to dig there, but we were turned down. We went on for 2 months asking, and I wrote up this long thing on what it's about, why we think it's there. I detailed down to every little detail that I could write,
Mhm.
and the decision was no.
Right. So you know what? You sit there and you go, okay, like Krupat did when he saw there was a construction crew in the north end of Boston. You say, hey, is there going to be an archaeological dig at the Lighthouse in the next couple of years?
Florida,
You know?
when you get into stuff like with the Coast Guard and protected sites in Florida like this, it gets a little finicky. It's not as easy as that. You can get it done, but it takes a long time.
Okay. I have not dug. I have been there on Coast Guard in California where you can't dig.
Okay.
But I've watched them dig.
I just said it can be done. It just takes a long time.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
So yes, I'm saying.
It's not-
Don't. Yeah, it's not a let's get a permit next week. It's let's see if in the next couple of years we can.
Yeah,
somebody
so
look at
so
it.
the last communication that I had with them, because it goes to the society, is she's like, well, we I can't even talk. We will revisit this, and I'll approach them again in a year or two, and they're like, if anybody else comes along, we're denying them automatically because you guys brought this to us first, but we'll revisit it soon. Well, soon, I say a year or two. They're really nice about it. Really, really nice, 100%. It's just right now, it's just on hold.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we all gotta realize that in the lifetime of the secret, a
Yeah.
couple of years is a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So
And if for some reason it's found in the St. Augustine area before that, then we know where it's at. But in our minds, it's in there.
Matt, was your mind changed?
no. It's you know where I think it is.
And that's okay. That's
Yeah,
everyone's
it's
got their
fine.
own-
That's my thing. Like, there's a lot.
No. Mine's in
He's
St.
got
Augustine.
one in St. Augustine. Yeah.
In the Fountain of Youth. So
One of the good things about this specifically is there's a lot of people who argue online, and I think when you read the argument from a third person perspective, a lot of times it's like this: we're just talking, right? But it comes across sometimes as people just bitching at each other. So I don't know. I think it's nice just to have this conversation where neither of us agree. We're not probably gonna agree. But, it's fun to talk about, I guess. I still think
here's
any
the
of
other
these
thing.
lines could apply to my library across the street, but still.
I can tell you when we're going to agree, George. We're going to agree when we're allowed to dig it up there and we find it there. That's when we're going to agree.
yes.
Yeah, we won't agree until then.
But you know what? And this is the other thing that happens, and people think, "Oh no, gosh, we're just set in our ways. We won't think of anything new. We won't consider new ideas or anything like that." However, you have a conversation like this, okay? The ideas start percolating through your head, and you know, um, it might make you go, oh, oh, the silver medal from Hemingway might make you think, okay, maybe that moves it down the street just a hair, and it's not at the lighthouse, it's in the private house next door to the lighthouse. And you go get permission from that family and dig there, you know? So,
Yeah.
we keep going forward. It's not static.
Right. It's all fun. It's fun.
Trying to figure
Well, I
out.
had
Trying to
So,
figure out what
George-
kind of lens the Key West Lighthouse. Do you guys know what kind of lens the Key West Lighthouse has?
No.
Friends the lens. So fun fact for those of you who like the lighthouse in St. Augustine, it has a teardrop lens. That's what it's called.
well, there you go.
I didn't know if that. I was trying to help. I didn't know if that applied to Key West, but it doesn't. It's a Fresnel.
It is a third order Fresnel
Fresnel
lens.
lens. Yeah.
Key West third.
We're reading the same article on Wikipedia right now, Matt.
No, I'm not reading Wikipedia.
Yeah.
88 steps tall.
It's a long way up.
So I'm
But it's
sorry,
weird.
I cut you off, Calvin. What were you saying? You said so, George.
No, it's fine. So
Okay.
this is our theory, and everybody's got their own theories. So going back to the flag, the round circle is where we believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the highest point on the painting. So he's telling us where it's at, and
Did
until
he
it's
do that in
found.
Chicago?
It's not the highest point in the painting,
Well,
but okay.
Did
It's
he
a
do that-
high
did he do
point. It's
that
a
in
high point in the
Cleveland?
painting.
There's
Yeah.
a
Did he do
giant.
that in Boston?
There's a big pole and a suspicious circle that no one can figure out above that.
But we have.
Okay, I would love to hear your explanation for the
No, he means the
suspicious
finial
circle.
on top of the flagpole.
Yeah,
It's not a
circle.
finial.
It's a
Yeah.
finial.
I know. It's all fun. It's all fun. So people can disagree with this, and people's got their own, but
People are. Caroline Ewan wants me to dig across the street at the library.
Hey, listen. Yeah, you never know. Look, take your metal detector. You never know what you're going to find.
So let me ask you this. Apart from this, let's see if we can agree on something, because we disagree on this. We would agree that no one can know like exactly who is correct until a cast comes out of the ground, right?
yeah.
But does that mean that? Do you guys think that means all ideas are equally good, or are some theories more valid than others?
No, I believe that everybody's theories is good.
Yes.
I believe it's across the board. I don't
So,
disagree that.
so your theory of at the lighthouse in Key West is, and it's going to be kind of dumb, but is equally as valid as my idea that it's buried at the library across from my house.
It's
By
like
that
in
measure.
two different ways. Yeah, two different ways. We believe it's there, but I don't want to disagree on someone else's theory because they put time and effort in, and that's where they believe it is.
Right. But doesn't that help them?
It helps them, just like it helps us when what we think, where it's at.
Yeah.
Not to be disrespectful to anyone, because not to cause waves or anything, but this is where
Let's
we
cause
believe.
waves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally calls waves if you want.
Let's cause waves.
Rock
But-
the boat.
Yeah. I
That's
think that I'm hoping that people will comment and shed a little bit of light on this, maybe, and there's people they're saying you guys are crazy. It's at St. Augustine, and that's okay.
I thought you
like
meant
said.
they were saying we were crazy, and I was agreeing.
No, they're saying that we're crazy, It's still in St. Augustine, but you know, St. Augustine has been torn up so many times, as you know. Like you would
Kind of, but like the cask is tiny and St. Augustine's big.
they did the
George.
ground penetration, right? You know, I watched an episode with that.
We did do ground penetration, yeah.
Like,
I'm still not sure the GPR.
We're still not sure.
Show a cask.
But like, so yes, St. Augustine has been torn up, but there's a quality of holes that's not being met by most people, because most people don't get permission. And when you get permission, you can take your time. You can dig an adequate hole. And I've been on a lot of digs with people who didn't get permission, and I've seen what they dig. And I've come upon holes that other people have dug where it was obvious, quick in and out, and they're crap holes. Like, it's nothing. There's a guy that tore up St. Augustine, but all of his holes are like 1.5 feet deep, maybe at most. I think people don't consider how difficult it is to build or to dig a 3-foot hole, especially in St. Augustine sand, right? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it could have been torn. Like a searcher could have found the exact spot this cask was, and not gotten permission, ran out, dug a crap hole, and it's, you know, still there. Just the fact that they've torn up the town doesn't really mean anything when the holes are, you know, 1.5 feet deep at best.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
go ahead.
That's right.
Mary.
I was just, you know, saying, look, you're right. People's going to go in and they're going to dig without permission, but if they go to turn it in to get the gem, aren't they supposed to tell where they found it? I mean,
you don't have to.
I mean, you don't have to.
No,
eventually it'll come out.
We'll figure it out real quick. But
we just had a discussion about this on the Facebook page where somebody said, you know, what if I don't want to tell where it is? And there is no requirement to tell where it is. The guy from San Francisco who tried a hoax,
I've
seen that. Tried to not tell where he found it, and still within a couple hours, people had, it was a hoax. So if you really, I mean, and nowadays, I'm sorry, there's artists out there who could replicate one of these casks and make it look good.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's to me, it's got to be the whole package. Where did you find it? How did you find it?
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
Does it look right? Does it, you know?
That used to be that used to be a concern with us. There was an active effort to not release pictures of the entire cask, just so that people couldn't fake it.
Yeah. And then we found out that they actually made more than the 12 casks.
Yeah.
So there are somewhere out there on a shelf that nobody's seen. Very possibly there's a cask sitting, you know, somebody dies, it goes off to Goodwill, you know, and somebody picks it up at Goodwill.
Beth Gilly wants to know how we know it was a hoax for sure. I think she's newer, so give her a break. But It was pretty obvious. I'll post a link to the San Francisco hoax. It was great. That's a crazy story. There's a podcast episode about it.
My favorite quote from John Palancar was from that instance right there. When
or is it like, what the hell is that? Something like
the word wasn't hell, but yeah, but it was JM sent him the picture, and he goes, "What the?" So anyway,
Anyway, okay.
So that was the thing. We wanted to do this the right way. We felt that we did it the right way. Because we didn't want to dig somewhere without permission.
No, you guys did great.
Know.
Yeah.
And either way, like, even if you didn't find anything, what I applaud is, like, you tried, you started at the beginning, you tried, you worked your way to the end, try to get permission and you couldn't, and then when you couldn't get permission, you were just like, let's talk about it. Because,
Yeah.
you know, whether we agree or not, maybe some of your ideas will help the community. And I think that's something that the community doesn't do. They get into a position where they have this really good idea and they can't get permission to dig, and then they just sit on it. You know,
Yeah, they won't
it's
say
not
it.
going to help anybody.
Yeah, for us, we didn't care that we revealed where we think it is, just because we know that we can't get to it. We know that we know down the road that we would be the first ones to allow to get to it if given that opportunity. So for us, it's just more putting the information out there.
And even if you aren't, like, let's say, pretend, somebody goes to Key West tonight and jumps the fence, takes that thing off that cistern, digs a hole, finds a cask. The entire community will know because it's documented. You guys were there, so whatever, you'll get credit.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool. Well, do you
Fun.
guys? Yeah. Do you guys have anything else, or do you want to end? It's up to you. It's your show, Mary.
It ain't my show, it's your show.
No.
I'll leave you with this. We disagree tonight, but we will agree one day in a few years, hopefully.
All right. And I'll tell you what, man. There's this guy who I think I told you guys before we went live. That's desperately trying to get me to go to Key West, and Rachel really, really wants to go to Key West. So we may end up going to Key West, and if I do, I'll go check out your cistern. I'll sneak in the middle of the night, climb inside of it. I'm not gonna do that.
So find it.
Okay.
Find it.
I'll go check out.
Find it.
That's what I said. That's why I told George. In a few years, we will agree.
Okay. So.
All right, guys.
Well, George,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you guys
Yes.
so much for talking. It was a pleasure and enjoyed it. And listen, I hope someone, whether it's us, you, anyone, I hope it's the true one that actually gets permitted to dig where they think it is and bring it forth. I really would like to see this, if that's,
We all want that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
really, I do. And hey, listen, I love history. Thank you. I'm gonna go look that up about Hemingway. See, you got my.
See, yeah, one thing leads to another. Who knows where that will take you?
Yeah.
So, Mary and Calvin, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to end the stream. You guys have a
Okay.
good night. The stream is stopped. Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun. I hope we didn't piss you off.
No.
Okay. Good.